Hello you beautiful lot, welcome to today's episode of Purple Vision. Now, a little bit of an update for you in regards to Wellingborough Walks lime trees. As promised, I had an interview with Marion Turner-Hawes, and the video they've kind of managed to turn into a bit of a fundraiser for the webpage. So it explains absolutely everything, and instead of me giving you half facts, I thought it's best you hear about all the background details from Marion Turner-Hawes herself. So, I'll leave all the links down below for you in the description, but here's Marion Turner-Hawes giving you all the information you will need and how you can help save Wellingborough Walks lime trees.
I'm Marion Turner-Hawes. I am the chairperson of Wellingborough Walks Action Group Limited, and I'm also the town councillor for Isbrook Ward, in which we're standing at the moment. Back in February, lots of us from the community suddenly heard that the developer was going to be felling upwards of 60 trees from the Wellingborough Walks. So I heard this on the Sunday, and they were due to come on the Monday, the 20th of February, to start felling all these trees from the walks here and right up to the Dog and Duck pub. And we knew nothing about that. Most people in the town knew nothing about that whatsoever. And as you can imagine, the big furore blew up. Lots of us worked really hard in that week before the felling was due to start to find out what on earth was going on, under what permissions the developer felt they had the authority to do this, to do the felling of the trees. And we were in touch with the North Defence Council to find out what's happening. During that week, we also discovered that all of the trees, even though, you know, most residents in Wellingborough will know the historical significance of the walks, but we also found out that all of the trees on the walks are protected under a tree preservation order. So we couldn't understand, well, how has the developer got permission to fell all these trees when there's a tree preservation order on them, or a TPO? So we did a lot of digging, and we were trying to find out how and why that was all agreed. And if it was agreed, what number of trees were actually agreed to be felled. I mean, even now, after these many months, we still don't know the exact number of trees from the walks that the developer actually has permission to fell. Anyway, so we all worked hard to try and understand the situation. By the end of that week prior to the felling, we discovered that there wasn't clarity, there was no document that agreed, there was no clear picture about what was to happen and why it was to happen. So we called, I as the local councillor, many residents and the town council, called on North Defence Council to issue a temporary stop notice until those things were found out and were answered. Unfortunately, they didn't do that, so the developer's contractor came on site on the Monday, and you had the unedifying position and view of local residents, ordinary people from across our town, coming down to protest about the felling of these trees, something they felt they hadn't been consulted on, and they felt they had no voice about. They came and were present here, and actually were trying to prevent the felling of those trees, which they felt, and many of us felt, was unlawful. Later on during that period, so it was about a 10-day period where we were trying to legally, as best we could, and physically by our presence, actually prevent the felling of the trees. And as time went on, the lawfulness of this action was further coming into question. We were really challenging that. From the legal advice we'd received, we felt that it wasn't lawful what the contractors were actually doing on behalf of the developer. Unfortunately, 15 of the trees that were due to be felled were felled in that period from the north side of the roundabout towards the Dog and Duck, and one tree from this south side was felled, as well as this tree here, which we call Adam, which was torn at by the contractors. The developer agreed to a pause at the beginning of the bird nesting season, so that was at the beginning of March, and that was for a month to allow time for a public event to be held, public consultation event, for the developer to explain the plans for the road that they're putting in, why the roundabout needed to be expanded, etc. That happened on the 23rd of March. After that, at the meeting on the 30th of March of North Defence Council, the leader of the council said, that that temporary pause that had been put in place was being extended, and the developer would not be allowed to touch these trees during the nesting period, which is from the beginning of March to the end of July. During March, we set up Wellingborough Walks Action Group, thanks to all the resources that we were given by people to help us to do that. We've got a very experienced barrister that's helping us. He's a planning barrister, and he and the solicitors team have helped us to create a really robust case as to why and how these trees can be saved, the case that we're bringing. We've now lodged for judicial review against the council and the developer. So judicial review is an opportunity for the community to challenge the council or a public body on the way that they've done something, because every public body is supposed to act to a certain set of rules, and we're challenging the way that the council has managed the whole issue to do with the trees, particularly around the tree preservation order. Initially, we wrote a pre-action letter to the council to say, look, let's try and see if there's some way of resolving the issues with the trees. Maybe we can make sure that more trees are saved, to work to do that, or we'll lodge for judicial review and potentially end up going to court and taking our council to court, which is not something I want to do, and it's not something the community really wants to do.
Not really.
So we asked, could we come up with a plan? Unfortunately, they didn't really respond to us during that period of the pre-action letter. And there's a timescale on when you can lodge for a judicial review. You have to do it within a certain time period of a particular incident happening. And we were very close to that time scale, so we lodged for judicial review. We've got loads of papers together. We sent all our evidence to the court, and then at the same time we asked for a stay. So we asked for a pause to allow time for discussions to happen between us and the council and the developer to see if we could come up with a plan to save more of the trees, to save all of the trees if possible. What we hope is if it gets sorted without going to court, so that we can look at the design of the roundabout, and if they made some minor changes, because this is a significant road that's being developed and it's a significant roundabout that's being created, we believe with some minor changes we can save these trees. Absolutely. All of the trees. But what we've got to have is the willingness of all parties, the council, the developer, to actually be prepared to make those changes and to see if it's possible to make those changes. So that's what we've been working for the last few weeks particularly. We thought we had a really positive agreement around that, and we were set to have technical discussions with the developer. But then last week, because the court said, if you're going to ask for a stay, we want to see what your plan is. But unfortunately, the other parties didn't agree with the stay. So, and we had the uncomfortable situation last week where we were doing work to meet with the developer, but then they decided that those discussions weren't going to work. So, all we can do is work in good faith, and we have to believe that the other parties are doing the same. So, anyway, the court has got involved now, and they've said there will be a period of discussion before they look at the case. They've instructed that various things need to happen, and one of those things is that we need to meet with the council, with the developer, to talk about technical possibilities that could change the layout of this roundabout and potentially save the trees from being felled. That's one thing we need to do. But you see, all of this is costing a vast amount of money. We've raised so far, as I say, just over 25,000, and we've spent between 16 and 17,000. But each time we have these meetings, we have to pay for the solicitors or the barrister to be involved. It costs us quite a lot of money, thousands of pounds each time.
Wow. Now
we want to have these meetings because we want to try and settle this out of court. But so we're coming back to the community. We know that people have contributed a great deal already, and we're so appreciative. But we're setting up a new crowdfunder to raise some more funds to take us both through any discussions that we've got in the coming weeks, but if that doesn't work out, also to take us to court and to help us to put this case before a judge and to allow that judge to make the decisions on whether this is lawful or not. Now, I just want to say that this work that's been happening to enable this case, to challenge this decision, yes, it's being done by a handful of people that are part of the Wellingborough Walks Action Group Limited, but we're doing this really at the behest of the community. You know, people, so many of us from across this town and the towns around us and beyond have been really upset about this, you know, the potential of losing our heritage. And as you can see, we're standing on the embankment. If these trees all go, this changes the whole character of the embankment. You know, this is our natural heritage. It's also our town heritage.
That's right.
You know, there's records of these trees going back at least 180 years. And it's been a feature of our town for so long. And we have to stand up for our natural community and for our own community. So, yes, there's a small group of us trying to lead this, and we've all donated hundreds of hours of time to help take this to court. So we know we're asking a big thing from residents of the town, businesses, communities, groups of the town and beyond to help. But this is a team effort. All of us are doing this because we want to retain our heritage in our town. This is our monument. The walks are the monument of Wellingborough, and we cannot just allow them to be felled just because we need to expand the road. This is our amenity. We need all that. We need to retain our amenities even as new roads arrive. One thing is clear at the moment is that a lot of people in the town perhaps think it's all stopped now and it's all been resolved, but actually it's not. You know, at the moment we've got the pause till the end of the nesting season, which is the end of July.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I mean, that is only temporary. You know, if we don't challenge these actions and challenge these decisions in whatever way we can, these trees will be felled. There's no two ways about it. So we want to carry on this work. We started it. It's a bit like a football match. We're coming towards, well, we hope coming towards the end. We don't know, but we've got to keep that concerted effort going, and we need the support of the community to be able to do that. We're asking people to contribute through the crowdfunder if you can.
Yeah.
Also, if you go to our website, which is saveourtrees.org.uk, and in there, if you go to the donations page, you can donate in other ways. So you can either donate through the button there, or you can get in touch with us. If you've got cash to donate, you can get in touch with us, or a cheque to put in, you can get in touch with us. So it doesn't have to all be through the crowdfunded, you can donate that way. And since we started this campaign, we have held a number of fundraising events, such as we had an auction which raised over £2,200 at that auction a few weeks ago. Last week we had a bingo and barbecue which raised over £1,400, and on the 15th of July we've got a music concert at the museum. The museum's kindly donated a venue to help us, and Jonathan Reynolds will be singing there, and, you know, good evening. So again, those tickets are for sale via the museum. So lots of different activities are happening around fundraising, but you know, sometimes because we haven't necessarily got a lot of time between resolving the work we need to do in the next few weeks and potentially going to court. So we do need, again, this big ask to the community about donating extra funds or further funds to help us to get there. So if you can, whether you can afford £1 or £1,000, £5 or £50, if you can contribute to this fundraiser to help us to take this forward and get the decision we need to either get agreement to modify the roundabout or to get a decision from the court that this action is unlawful and the trees should be saved. We've got to get some resolution on this, and we're really calling on the community again. We're asking people to step up again to contribute, and let's make this a real team effort to save this really important cultural, historical and natural and beautiful asset for our town.